The stars twinkled peacefully in the night sky as Ambassador Park stood on the observation deck. It had been 3 months since the sleek silver ships appeared above Earth's major cities. 3 months of careful diplomacy that might finally pay off today. "Ambassador, they've arrived," said his aide, bowing slightly. Park nodded and straightened his formal suit. First contact with an alien civilization had changed everything. The initial panic had given way to cautious optimism when the Galactic Council envoys revealed themselves as peaceful explorers, representing thousands of spacefaring species. The meeting room was designed to impress, with Earth's flags alongside the spiral emblem of the Galactic Council. 2 aliens waited inside: Representative Juan, tall with iridescent blue skin, and Director Day, whose 4 eyes blinked independently as Park entered. "Greetings," Park said, bowing respectfully. Earth welcomes continued dialogue with the Council. Juan's translator device hummed. "We bring final terms for Earth's probationary membership. A momentous day for your species." Park accepted the crystal data tablet, reviewing the document carefully. The terms seemed generous: limited technology exchange, cultural missions, and protection under Council law. Earth would remain autonomous but gain access to interstellar trade routes. "These terms are acceptable," Park said, pressing his thumb to the biometric scanner. "Earth looks forward to joining the galactic community." What Park couldn't see was the silent communication passing between the aliens, quick eye movements and subtle color changes on their skin that their species used for private messages. "The humans are more adaptable than expected," Day signaled discreetly. "Their weapons development rate is concerning." "Agreed," replied Juan. "The Council vote remains unchanged?" "Yes. Quarantine protocol will begin once our diplomats withdraw." The public ceremony that afternoon was broadcast worldwide. Champagne flowed as humanity celebrated its first interstellar treaty. Park smiled for the cameras but couldn't shake a sense of unease about how quickly the aliens had agreed to his amendments. That evening, aboard the Council's orbital diplomatic vessel, the true meeting took place. 30 representatives from various species gathered in the secure chamber, Director Day standing before the holographic display showing Earth. "The assessment period is complete," Day announced. "The recommendation stands. Humans display concerning traits that qualify them as a Class 4 high-risk species." A reptilian delegate raised a scaled hand. "On what grounds?" "They seem primitive but peaceful." "Their history reveals persistent warfare," explained Day. "More concerning is their adaptive capacity. They've reversed-engineered components from our public terminals despite safeguards. Their scientific progress rate exceeds safety parameters by 86%. The Council members muttered amongst themselves. "The vote will now commence," announced the Council elder. "Regarding Earth, containment or continued integration?" One by one, lights turned red on the voting panel. Containment. Isolation. Quarantine. Only one light remained green, belonging to Subdirector Jean, whose species had once faced similar judgment centuries ago. "The vote is final," the elder declared. "Earth will be quarantined until the species proves itself non-threatening. Tactical containment fleet will deploy immediately." Subdirector Jean walked quickly through the lower decks, her heart racing. What the Council was doing violated their own principles of species sovereignty. She reached a secure communication terminal and hesitated only briefly before entering an encryption code. On Earth, a specialized receiver hidden within the human delegation's headquarters began blinking. The translator worked quickly, converting Jin's message. "Warning to Earth authorities. Council has designated humans as dangerous. Quarantine fleet approaching. Containment protocols initiated. You have less than one planetary rotation to prepare." Park was awakened by urgent knocking. His aide stood there, face pale. "Sir, emergency meeting. All world leaders." The situation room was chaos. Military officials argued while scientists examined the warning message. "Could it be a hoax?" asked the European Union president. The NASA director shook her head. "Our deep space monitors confirm it. Multiple vessels approaching from behind the moon. These aren't diplomatic ships. Park stared at the satellite image in disbelief. The elegant diplomatic vessels were being replaced by angular warships. They deceived us, he said quietly. The treaty was a distraction. The room fell silent as the first containment ships entered Earth orbit, their weapons systems powering up. Across the planet, people looked skyward in confusion as the once friendly alien vessels transformed into a blockade. In the council chamber, Director Day addressed his colleagues. The quarantine of Earth has begun. This species will remain isolated until they prove themselves worthy of galactic citizenship. But as military advisors rushed into the situation room with reports of the Council's technological vulnerabilities, Park realized something important. The Galactic Council had made a critical error. Commander Sung stood on the bridge of the Council flagship, watching Earth through the viewscreen. The blue-green planet looked peaceful from orbit. Primitive. Harmless. Begin the containment operation, he ordered. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, their blue skin shifting colors as they communicated silently among themselves. Deployment complete, Commander, reported his second officer. All major human population centers are now under observation. Our shields are at full strength. Sung nodded with satisfaction. The humans had detected their arrival but seemed confused rather than hostile. Their global communications were filled with panic and speculation. Some humans even believed the council ships were still friendly visitors. How long until full containment is established? Sung asked. One standard cycle, Commander. Their primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Our analysis shows their most advanced missiles use chemical propulsion and simple explosive warheads. Sung allowed himself a small smile. This would be the easiest containment operation of his career. On Earth, inside a hardened military bunker, General Kim studied the alien ships on high-resolution screens. Unlike the politicians, she had never trusted the aliens' friendly overtures. They're positioning themselves over our major cities, she observed. Classic intimidation tactic. A young officer approached with a tablet. General, we've completed analysis of the data provided by our council informant. Their shield technology appears advanced, but we've identified potential weaknesses. Kim examined the information. Frequency vulnerabilities in their defensive systems? Are you certain? Yes, General. Their shields operate on predictable energy patterns. If we modify our missile guidance systems to exploit these patterns. Kim nodded decisively. Prepare 10 experimental missiles immediately. And contact Dr. Hyun in Seoul. We need her team working on this. Commander Sung was enjoying a meal when alarms blared across the ship. Report, he demanded, rushing back to the bridge. Human missiles approaching, Commander, his officer replied calmly. Primitive technology. Shields at full strength. Sung relaxed. Standard procedure. Let them exhaust their arsenal. They watched the incoming missiles on the tactical display. Suddenly, 3 missiles changed trajectory in ways the computers couldn't predict. Before anyone could react, the missiles passed through their shields as if they weren't there. The explosion rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Impossible! Sung shouted. How did they penetrate our shields? Similar reports flooded in from other council ships. The humans had somehow found a weakness in technology that should have been centuries beyond their understanding. In Seoul, Dr. Hyun worked frantically in her laboratory, surrounded by components salvaged from council devices left during the diplomatic phase. Her team had been working non-stop since the blockade began. Their technology isn't as incomprehensible as they think, she explained to General Kim via secure video link. Their propulsion systems use principles similar to our theoretical physics models. We've already replicated basic components. Kim looked impressed. How quickly can you adapt this technology for our defense systems? Weeks, not months, Hyun replied confidently. The council made a critical error leaving even their public terminals on Earth. Everything they gave us, we're learning from. On the council homeworld, Intelligence Director Tay reviewed the disturbing reports from Earth. These are statistical anomalies, he assured the council members. Humans got lucky with a few missiles. Commander Sung reports the situation is under control. An elder council member looked skeptical. The containment fleet has reported 17 breaches of their defensive systems in a single rotation. That exceeds anomaly status. Their technology remains primitive, Tay insisted. They cannot maintain this level of resistance. Back on Earth, a historic meeting was taking place. For the first time in human history, representatives from every nation gathered without conflict or political posturing. Former enemies sat side by side, united by a common threat. The council believed we would turn on each other, Ambassador Park addressed the assembly. Instead, we have formed the strongest alliance in human history. The United Earth Defense Coalition was born that day. Nations pooled their resources, shared technology, and coordinated military responses. Old conflicts were set aside in the face of extinction. Commander Sung stared in disbelief at the latest reports. Human fighters were now attacking council ships using modified engines that shouldn't have been possible with Earth technology. Worse, they were employing tactics his forces had never encountered: unpredictable, seemingly illogical maneuvers that worked precisely because they defied council military doctrine. They're learning too quickly, he muttered, composing his report to the council. How could he explain that the primitive humans had adapted council technology in weeks rather than the predicted decades? On his viewscreen, Earth continued to orbit peacefully. But Sung now understood the truth. This wasn't going to be an easy containment operation after all. The council had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, their ability to adapt. Sub-Commander Moon watched the battle recording for the 5th time, unable to understand what he was seeing. The human fighter pilots had been in continuous combat for over 20 hours. According to council medical standards, this should be physically impossible. They just don't quit, he said to his science officer. Any other species would be suffering severe fatigue and reaction impairment by now. The science officer checked her data. Human physiology has unusual endurance capabilities. Their evolutionary history suggests they evolved as persistence hunters, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Moon frowned. So they're designed to outlast opponents? Precisely. And that's not their only advantage. Their stress response appears to enhance performance rather than impair it. The tactical display blinked with new alerts. Human vessels were emerging from Saturn's rings, where they had been hiding for days. The council patrol ships were caught completely unprepared. Captain Min gripped her control yoke as her fighter squadron accelerated toward the council support vessels. Her muscles ached from the extended mission, but the stims in her bloodstream kept her alert. Remember the plan, she told her pilots. Hit their sensor arrays first, then engines. Make them blind and immobile. Earth's fighters had been modified with technology reverse-engineered from captured council components. They weren't as advanced as true council vessels, but they had one critical advantage: they were unpredictable. Council ships relied on AI combat systems that expected enemies to follow logical battle doctrines. Human pilots did exactly what the alien computers considered illogical: they took risks, made sacrifices, and employed tactics that seemed suicidal but worked precisely because they were unexpected. Min's squadron tore through the council formation. 2 of her pilots were lost, but they disabled 5 council vessels, an exchange rate that would have been deemed acceptable in human warfare but was shocking to council commanders. In Seoul, Dr. Hyun presented her latest breakthrough to General Kim and the Earth Defense Council. We've successfully integrated council power systems with our weapons technology, she explained, displaying the hybrid device. It's neither purely human nor purely alien, it's something new. The general examined the weapon. How effective is it against their shields? Very. Council shield systems are designed to counter known weapons in their database. These hybrid weapons operate on principles their systems can't properly categorize. A military advisor raised his hand. How did we develop this so quickly? The council believed it would take us decades. Dr. Hyun smiled thinly. The Council doesn't understand human creativity. Their technological development is linear and methodical. We make intuitive leaps. We try things they consider illogical. Admiral Day paced the command center of the Council's regional headquarters. The containment operation had turned into a disaster. His ships were being picked apart by human guerrilla tactics, hiding in asteroid belts and planetary rings before emerging to strike at vulnerable vessels. Their behavior defies our combat simulations, his tactical officer explained. The humans employ strategies with high risk of self-destruction. Our doctrine cannot account for a species willing to accept such casualties. And their technological progress? Day asked. Accelerating beyond all projections. They've adapted portions of our technology and created hybrid systems we've never encountered. Some of our analysts believe they're now advancing faster because of our pressure, not despite it. Day stopped pacing. Humans appear to become more effective when threatened. Yes, Admiral. Their historical records show this pattern repeatedly. They unite and innovate most aggressively when facing existential threats. Day realized with growing horror that the containment strategy wasn't suppressing humanity, it was forcing them to evolve at an unprecedented rate. Captain Kim led the boarding party onto the captured Council science vessel. His soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, securing the ship section by section. What had seemed alien and incomprehensible months ago was now familiar territory. "Engine room secure," reported his sergeant. "Their crew abandoned ship intact." Kim nodded. "Begin download of their database. Priority on weapons systems and star charts." This was the 12th Council vessel captured in the past month. Each ship provided new technology and information that humanity quickly absorbed and repurposed. The Council's war room fell silent as they watched footage of the unthinkable. The Council mothership Celestial Decree, one of their most advanced vessels, was now under human control. Captain Kim's daring raid had captured it intact. "How?" asked a Council elder. "That ship had over 1,000 crew members and internal defense systems." Admiral Day had no good answer. Human boarding teams use tactics our security protocols weren't designed to counter. They improvised solutions to our defenses. Another elder spoke the words no one wanted to acknowledge: "Perhaps we have made a grave miscalculation." Outside the windows of the war room, distant flashes of light marked ongoing battles in the outer system. The Council's rigid military doctrine was crumbling against human unpredictability. Their technological superiority meant little against an enemy who could adapt their own weapons against them. The quarantine had failed. Humanity wasn't contained, it was evolving, unifying, and preparing to break free of Earth's solar system. And the Council was not ready for what would come next. The Council outpost on Proxima Station had never been attacked. Located in a supposedly secure sector, its defenses were minimal. The station crew was more concerned with monitoring trade than repelling invaders. When the proximity alarms sounded, Commander Yun assumed it was a drill. "Unknown vessels approaching," reported his sensor officer. "Configuration, unclear." Yun frowned. "Unclear? All ship types are in our database. These don't match any known profile, sir. They appear to be modified Council ships." The realization hit Yun too late. The approaching fleet was human vessels captured from the Council and rebuilt with Earth's hybrid technology. Before he could order defensive measures, the station's power grid failed, disabled by targeted electromagnetic pulses. Major Yoon led the Earth assault team onto the darkened station. His soldiers moved swiftly through corridors they had studied in simulators built from captured Council data. Unlike Council troops, they were trained to fight in darkness and chaos. "Central command secured," reported his lieutenant. "Minimal resistance." Yoon nodded. "Download their NAV database and strategic files. We have 30 minutes. When the Earthships departed, they left behind a confused but unharmed Council crew and a message broadcast throughout the station: "The quarantine of Earth has ended. The counteroffensive has begun." On the Council homeworld, the emergency session had lasted for days. Representatives from 30 sectors argued while tactical displays showed the spreading human attacks. The Talarian sector demands additional protection, Representative Ho shouted over the chaos. 3 of our outposts have fallen in the past week. Impossible, countered another delegate. How could humans have reached so far into Council space? Admiral Day, once the confident leader of the containment fleet, now looked haggard. The humans are using our own jump gate network against us. They captured the access codes during early engagements and have been targeting our supply chains with uncanny precision. The Supreme Counselor's voice cut through the noise. How did this happen, Admiral? They were supposed to be primitive. Day hesitated. We underestimated their adaptability. They've integrated our technology with their own innovations. Their ships now have capabilities our defenses weren't designed to counter. A holographic display activated, showing the current state of the conflict. Red markers indicated human raids spreading outward from Earth like a spider web. The Council's carefully planned quarantine had transformed into a multi-front crisis. Captain Seuss' diplomatic vessel approached the Varelian homeworld under a flag of truce. The Varelians, an insectoid species, had been subjugated by the Council centuries ago, their resources harvested while their people were relegated to second-class status. Ambassador Park stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger. Do you think they'll hear us out? Their resistance movement has been fighting the Council for decades, Sue replied. Our intelligence suggests they'll at least listen. The meeting took place in an underground chamber. Varelian leaders clicked their mandibles skeptically as Park outlined Earth's proposal, an alliance against their common oppressor. Why should we trust another bipedal species? Asked the Varelian Prime. Park activated a hologram showing Earthships defending a Varelian colony from Council reprisals. Because we've already begun helping your people. We don't want to rule the galaxy, we just want the freedom to exist without interference. The Varelian leaders conferred briefly. What do you need from us? Star charts. Safe harbors. And if you're willing, fighters who know Council weak points. By the next cycle, the first joint human-Varelian operation had destroyed a Council weapons depot. Earth's diplomatic corps, led by Ambassador Park, continued their work, forging similar alliances with 2 other subjugated species. General Moon studied the tactical display with satisfaction. Earthships now controlled the jump gates leading to their solar system. Council forces had been pushed back beyond Mars, with scattered resistance around Jupiter's moons. The Council fleet is in full retreat, reported his tactical officer. They've abandoned their remaining outposts in our system. Moon nodded solemnly. Begin Phase 2. Secure the outer system and prepare our long-range fleet. A junior officer approached nervously. Sir, we've received a transmission from the Council. They're requesting peace talks. Moon smiled grimly. They didn't offer peace when they thought they could contain us. Tell them we'll discuss terms after we've secured our system. Earth's military had transformed in mere months. Ships that blended Council technology with human ingenuity now patrolled the solar system. Soldiers trained in zero-gravity combat stood ready on converted asteroids and moons. The impossible had happened. A species that had barely reached its own moon had pushed back one of the galaxy's oldest powers. Humanity had not only survived the Council's attempted quarantine, they had broken free of their solar system and were now poised to take the fight to the heart of Council space. The Council chamber fell silent as the doors opened. Admiral Kim entered first, followed by General Lee and Ambassador Park. The human delegation walked confidently across the polished floor, their footsteps echoing in the vast circular hall. Supreme Counselor Min trembled slightly as the humans approached. Through the massive viewing window behind the Council seats, the gathered representatives could see Earth's fleet in orbit around the Council capital world, hundreds of ships, many of them modified Council vessels. No enemy force had ever reached the Council homeworld in its 10,000-year history. Until now. The human delegation is recognized, Min announced, his translator converting his words to Earth standard. We are prepared to hear your demands. Admiral Kim stepped forward. Her uniform bore the insignia of Earth's Unified Defense Force. We don't bring demands. We bring terms. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They had expected fury, revenge, perhaps even orbital bombardment when the human fleet arrived. Instead, the humans had requested a formal meeting. You could destroy us, Min stated simply. Your ships control our orbital defenses. Why negotiate? General Lee answered, her voice firm but not unkind. Because destruction is easy. Building something better is harder and more worthwhile. Ambassador Park opened a data tablet, projecting a holographic document above the council table. These are our terms. First, recognition of Earth and human colonies as sovereign territories with full rights under galactic law. The council representatives nodded quickly. Second, reforms to the council structure itself. No species will be classified as primitive or high risk without representation and right of appeal. This caused murmuring among the delegates, but none objected openly. Third, immediate dissolution of all forced quarantines across council space. All sentient species deserve self-determination. At this, an elder council member rose. You would undo millennia of careful management. Some species truly are dangerous. Admiral Kim's eyes flashed. As you labeled us? Your careful management nearly caused our extinction. We adapted instead. The room fell silent again. Ambassador Park continued calmly. Fourth, Earth will hold a permanent council seat, as will the Varelians, Nexorians, and other formerly oppressed species. Supreme Counselor Min looked at the human delegation with new understanding. You're not here to destroy the council. You're here to change it. Precisely, Park confirmed. The galaxy needs governance, but it must be just and equal. 1 year later, the new council chamber bustled with activity. Where once only 30 species held power, now over 100 representatives filled the expanded hall. Ambassador Park watched with satisfaction as a Varelian delegate argued passionately with a former council elder as equals. General Lee approached, now serving as Earth's military attaché to the council. The reforms are proceeding faster than expected. The formerly quarantined species from the Orion sector have been granted full membership. Park nodded. And the technology exchange program? Successful beyond our hopes. Turns out many species had innovations the old council suppressed because they didn't fit their vision of proper development. A small blue-skinned child approached them, the daughter of Director Day, who now served as liaison between old council members and new. Is it true, she asked through her translator, that humans evolved by chasing their food until it got tired? Park laughed. Partially true. We call it persistence hunting. Our ancestors could run longer than most animals. The child considered this. So you became strong by being stubborn? I suppose that's one way to look at it, Park replied with a smile. In the new council's central plaza, a monument had been erected. It showed representatives of various species standing together in a circle, with a human and Varelian clasping hands at its center. The inscription, written in multiple languages, read, "Strength through diversity." Supreme Counselor Min, now serving as historical advisor to the new government, stood beside Admiral Kim as they observed the bustling plaza. Species that once would never have interacted now traded, conversed, and worked together. I must confess, Min said quietly, when your fleet arrived, I believed it was the end of everything we built. Kim shook her head. Destroying is easy. Humans have done plenty of that in our history. We wanted to build something better. Still, you could have taken revenge for our attempted quarantine. What would that have accomplished? More suffering? More fear? Kim gestured to the diverse crowd. This outcome is far more valuable. Min nodded slowly. Your species continues to surprise us. The council feared your aggression, but we failed to see your capacity for forgiveness. In orbit above, Earthships patrolled alongside vessels from a dozen formerly oppressed species. The galaxy hadn't ended when humans broke free of their containment, it had been reborn.